What's going on, everyone? This is a Popcorn Heroes review of Wonder Woman 1984 in HBO Max exclusive and theaters if you wanted to, Rona. I am Armando.
If you wanted to risk it for the biscuit, as Armando
I am
says.
Armando. With me, as always, is Pedro. What's going on?
Hello. I'm good,
and
I'm good.
God's Gift, Orlando. What's up, buddy?
Oh, what's up, guys?
Hey, man.
Not much, Orlando. We're just kind of surprised that Wonder Woman 1984 was released on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Shocking development we had there.
The first of many, apparently. This is going to be chaotic.
First of many. As we usually do per reviews, Pedro gives us the nice little premise, and then we give our quick rating and short thoughts, and then we jump into spoilers. So, Pedro, without further ado, the premise.
All right. So this movie is called Wonder Woman 1984, and it is in fact a sequel to Wonder Woman. So make sure you watch that before you watch this one. And this one just follows Wonder Woman in 1984. Yeah. And then, it's her, I don't want to get into spoilers, I guess, but it's her dealing with some shit. And her dealing with this antagonist called Maxwell Lord, who's a fake Lex Luthor-ish kind of guy. Yeah.
I'll say he's more of a late night infomercial guy.
Okay. The ShamWow or something.
Something.
But yeah, without getting into the actual parts of it, it's just her dealing with that decade and the fallout of what happened at the end of the first one with her losing good old Steve Trevor.
Cool. Nice, Pedro. Beautiful and lovely as always. Very concise and informative. Just how I like it. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. All right. Well, let's get into it then.
Thank you.
Our short thoughts and rating. Orlando, tell me, what did you think?
So it's a good thing that HBO, Warner Brothers, decided to put it on HBO because I think this is a dud. And I'm glad it wasn't. I didn't watch it in theaters, especially now with with the pandemic and everything. It's definitely not worth spending your money nor your time in the movie theater to watch it, in my opinion. But if I would give it a rating, I would give it a 2.2, 2.3. Like, I can't even sit at a 2.5. Like, it's just, at this point in superhero movies, you gotta do something different. Or you just need to be, like, high caliber, like, just really good at what? Script-wise, action scenes, like, you can play it by the numbers, but as long as you're doing everything superb, then you're fine. But we've seen this movie before, and this kind of movie before, and it just doesn't do enough to separate it from what's come beforehand, nor does it impress me in any aspect. I felt that the story, while it could be, was like the message it had was, maybe very
on the nose,
and it's good to hear that kind of message. I felt like they beat you over the head with it, so I felt like it was kind of like a kid show where, like, and we learned this today, we learned this at the end, or in South Park when the kids are like, but you know what I learned today? And so they don't do it anymore in South Park. That's an old reference to, like, the old episodes. But I just felt like it was just very just hammer down that messaging that they try to get to, which I felt was, like, while needed in these times, I just felt it was just too much. I felt like the villain was a bit cartoony on purpose, both of them. This movie gave me a little bit of Amazing Spider-Man 2 vibes. and I'll go into that later. But overall, I didn't enjoy it. I think this is one of the weakest DC films. Possibly next to my opinion, Aquaman. I think Aquaman was trash.
Wow.
So yeah.
So you're saying Aquaman is worse than Justice League? No.
Yeah,
my
for sure.
God. That's the dumbest shit you've said on this podcast, dude.
Unpopular opinion. Ouch. You heard it here first, folks.
Horrible take.
Armando was like, I'm riding your wave the whole time till the
terrible
end.
take,
You crashed and burned.
Aquaman's like one of the worst DC
worse
movies.
than Justice League? Oh my God. Justice League is probably the
Justice
worst
League is
shit
a
I've
bit
seen on
better.
screen. Pedro, what are your small thoughts and rating?
All right. It is. I give this movie a drumroll.
Called it.
4 out of 5. I give it a 4 out of 5. I really liked it. So Orlando had a bunch of really good points. It's super cheesy. It's super out there. It's been done before, you know, like from the first Cape movies of like Christopher Reeve's Superman, very upbeat, optimistic, cheesy, in your face about the message, super comic booky. But that is every single reason why I liked it. I liked that it went that route because I wasn't a fan of the first Wonder Woman that much because it tried copying like Zack Snyder, but not as good. So I figure you either go grimdark or you go upbeat. You either go, you know, Batman or you go Shazam. Like Shazam was very upbeat, very cheesy, very happy-go-lucky, and this felt even more on the comic booky side of it. But I enjoyed watching that because it felt different. It felt totally different from the first one. They didn't even feel like they were in the same like caliber. Like if this would have been like a soft reboot, I would have believed it. So, but again, that's all the reasons why I liked it. I loved that they bring back, again, I'm not going to get into spoilers of it. I love they brought back a certain character, you know, a very important one, and I love the way they have, you know, like the reactions and everything to like the decade. I thought a lot of the 80s references, of course they're over the head, but that's what that's the fun of it, you know. It's making fun of that. I actually really liked the villains. I liked Maxwell Lord. I liked that he was the cheesy, you know, your life is good, but it could be better. Like it's very I don't know.
very,
I was eating all that shit up.
Like a fake scammer car wash dealer, I mean, car dealership.
Completely. And then, you know, it kind of gave me a little bit of Riddler Batman Forever vibes, that he was like feeding off of everyone's like bullshit, you know, to like, I don't know, to become something better. But anyways, overall, yeah, man, I really enjoyed it. The only bad things that I can really come up with is really just like nitpicking at like the ungodly amount of plot holes. But like, when I think of like crazy plot holes and, you know, Wonder Woman doing shit where I'm like, how the fuck is she able to do that? I also think of like, how is Christopher Reeve Superman able to go around the earth and go back in time and save everyone? Like, that didn't make any fucking sense either, but that movie's still a classic. So I feel the same way with this. So
damn,
those are my thoughts.
Shame on you,
4 out of 5.
Shame on you. Damn.
I know.
4 out of
I know.
5.
The whole
4
time
out
I'm
of
talking,
5,
you guys
dude,
are just
that's
shaking your heads in disgust.
You're putting it up there with like high tier movies we review.
Out of the movies that we have given a 4, there's so much
Yeah.
movies that deserve a 4 out of
It's
5.
definitely not
And
it.
Wonder Woman isn't.
I can see
even close.
the reasons why you like it.
For me,
But it's one of those things where that movie is definitely not a 4 out of 5. Like you're putting it up there. It's
the way
so
I
bad.
already told you how I rate it. Yeah, I already told you how I rate it. 3 like it,
Oh,
4
yeah.
really like. I
Terrible,
really liked it. I had fun watching it.
Well,
I feel like we lost our credibility as a
no,
podcast.
it's fine.
To
I
reviewing
understand that he likes it.
Don't
but
worry,
he
don't
could've
worry,
just
it's,
done a 3 out of 5. I mean, it would have made more sense, you know. But a 4 is a top notch movie. In our rating system,
No.
is top notch, dude. A 4 is like you have to see it type of movie.
No, the
And that's what you're rating it as. You're telling our
sure.
audience you have to go see it.
I am.
Oh,
I'm saying
terrible,
you
dude.
should go see.
Anyways, I hope we could
You should definitely
rewind
see
those
it.
last few minutes we had because it was a waste of time. But I would agree with Orlando. It is a 2.5 out of 5. See, I think the way you're seeing it, Pedro, that's I can see why you're saying those things, but I feel that we've already seen that before. We've already done that before, and it's like what Orlando says. Why would I want to see a superhero? Why would I want to see a '70s superhero movie in the 2020s? I guess it's pointless. It's one of those things where it's highly idiotic to bring back something, and they didn't even make it new. They just kind of rehashed the campiness of that movie, and it's just kind of like, no. You're supposed to have the essence of that and make it newer, make it fresh, make it something that today's audience can be like, oh man, that's pretty cool. I didn't have to see Wonder Woman being dark. Like, Wonder Woman is not a dark character, but she's also not a campy light character either, in my opinion. But if you take it back to the Linda Carter in the 70s, but the thing is
they were doing a lot of
everything was campy that back then.
There you go.
You had Batman who was campy. You had Hulk who was campy. So Spider-Man who was campy. You had Wonder Woman who was
Spider-Man.
campy. That's just the way things were done back then in the genre space of comic books, because they were never taken seriously. Now comic book movies are taken seriously. Now they are mainstream. They are something that are blockbusters. Like, who would ever thought comic book movies would have been blockbusters, dude? And that's who they are right now. So I feel like it kind of made the movie, it set back the movie in a sense, in my opinion, because Wonder Woman took it up, and I don't necessarily think you needed to make a Wonder Woman campy to make it better. I think what could have been done is made Wonder Woman an action star. Like, she's a warrior, and she had no warrior qualities in this movie. She spent half of the movie depressed. I'm like, girl, it's been like 50 years. Like, how are you still depressed over a guy? Like, it's.
Wait, where's
it was her one and only vitamin D, and it's the first guy she ever saw.
Though, you know, so I mean, the whole point of being a warrior is that you lose people. That's
what does that have to do with anything?
As a soldier, you lose people, and people are gonna die in battle. So it's kind of like, for me, she should have been. I didn't want her to be dark, because I don't think necessarily the first Wonder Woman was dark. I think it had dark themes, but it wasn't really dark per se.
Yeah, there was. I will say that there was a lot of fight in the beginning about what they wanted her to be. Dark. Zack Snyder's version was very dark until Batman vs Superman gave her hope. She's like, oh, after World War I was just depressed. And then I guess these people were like, but why? Yeah. So then they did their version, and they were like, no, World War I made her see the good, and then, so on. So there's totally contradicting versions of her throughout this DCEU.
I wanted her to be a badass, because in the end, Wonder Woman is a badass. You know what I'm saying? And she is Superman, in a sense. You know, she could be toe to toe with Superman, and I wanted to see that within the movie. I also didn't. I enjoyed the 80 themery, the themes, but I feel like they didn't go too 80s. I think they were the things that were really 80 were just like the clothing, and because there was barely any 80s music in this movie. I'm like, how are you gonna call this 1984? But
they probably couldn't get the rights.
Movie, dude. You're a blockbuster. This is Wonder Woman 2. How are you not gonna get rights to? If Stranger Things could do it, you could fucking do it. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the music in this movie was barely 80s. Like, I don't even remember hearing anything 80s in this movie, other than like bits and pieces of stuff.
It was just generic. So it was generic 80s beats in the background, but not an actual song.
If you don't put 80s music into it and make it feel really 80s, you know. What I really enjoyed was the acting. The acting was great. I felt like, and I also felt like they shortchanged Cheetah. Cheetah is essentially the Joker of Wonder Woman. You know what I'm saying? And you didn't see that in the movie. You didn't feel that in the movie. You didn't feel like that was her arch nemesis. You know what I'm saying? That's her main bad guy, and you kind of shortchanged her main bad guy to put in another bad guy. It's kind of like, why didn't you just make it about Cheetah? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's just... I don't know. This movie was just kind of... It felt like a waste of time for me. It was just... too much stupidity happening, and I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it at all. But
gotcha. All right, let's get into the spoilers then, so we can start.
All right, ladies and
really
gentlemen,
chopping this up a bit.
If you haven't seen this movie, check the time, pause it, and come back, because we're about to get into it. Spoilers ahead. Spoilers ahead. Spoilers.
Yes, sir.
They're spoilers.
Cool.
All right. So I would say, I'm gonna do this from the beginning. The opening sequence of her, as a child fighting, going through the trials was pretty cool. I enjoyed that opening sequence. It was cool.
Yeah,
nice.
And it also showed, she learned a lesson, yada yada.
It was
no cheating,
the
blah,
prelude
blah, blah,
to
better.
the lesson of the movie lesson. The Sesame Street lesson that we're gonna have following. The prelude.
Yep.
How the prelude always opens up with. They always open up with something and then it continues with it. Anyways, point. It was cool, but the theme, like the lesson was pointless in my opinion. Anyways, and then you had the second opening sequence, which for me, I hated that opening sequence. It was the most cheesy, the most pointless, the most stupid opening action sequence like I've seen, dude. Like I felt like I was literally watching a 70s movie, and I'm like, why would I want to see this, dude? She's swinging and stuff. I'm like, why are you swinging? You could just jump. You're a badass.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. So I didn't know what type of movie this was going to be going into it, And then I agree with you. I started watching the opening sequence, and I'm just kind of like looking at it like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, this is so weird. But then I started looking. I'm like, it's cheesy. I'm like, no, it's really cheesy. I'm like, oh no, they're doing this on purpose. Like, look at the acting. And I had just finished watching like the Tim Burton Batmans over like the Christmas break. So I'm like, oh, they're going for like this too. So they're going for like. I felt like this movie was almost like a love letter to old superhero movies plus the Linda Carter show. This was a love letter to that. So this is the whole vibe they were going for. Once I rewired my brain to go, okay, this is the type of movie it's going to be. That's what made me go, okay. But at first, I was just as confused as you were. But then I went, wait a minute, this is clearly what they're going for. Like, the trailers didn't show that. This was totally out of left field. I was like, oh, I thought this was going to be closer to 1. But once I saw that, once I saw the cheesiness, I'm like, okay, got it. Leave your brain at the door. Enjoy it like you would a Saturday morning, episode of Wonder Woman or something like that. And then that's what made me really enjoy it. But I also did feel that the beginning was a little pointless. There was like no like fallout to it. It was just to kind of show a dorky little adventure of her, But which, by the way, how the fuck is she flying? I was just trying to figure that out. The whole movie I was trying to rack my brain around.
She's gliding.
She's not really flying
with style.
She's just like
she's gliding.
She's falling with style like Buzz Lightyear, and then she just lassos onto lightning bolts and clouds to keep her momentum going. Is that what was going on? Yeah, I was a little confused.
So
I'm like, all right, whatever.
She doesn't fly?
In the comics, she flies, yeah.
She does fly in the comics. But in the first Wonder Woman, they clearly showed that she wasn't flying. And that's the version of Wonder Woman they were going for, the one that's the daughter of Zeus. So that version doesn't fly. But, I mean, I don't know. It looks like they were kind of doing a little bit of both. But that aside, I understood...
But another thing is, I love how she... Now. So you get the opening sequence. She forgets how to fly. Because in Batman v Superman and Justice League, she doesn't fly. She doesn't even glide with style. So it's kind of
yeah.
How did you forget the lesson you learned in the 80s?
But she also doesn't have the continuity is very soft because she doesn't even act the same. The whole, remember what I said? Oh, I lost faith in humanity. No, clearly you didn't. But so I know. Well, let's go back a little bit to what you were saying before. You were saying that you wanted a Wonder Woman that's like strong, badass or whatever. But the Wonder Woman in the comics is also very loving. Like that's one of her biggest qualities. She's, I guess, a Superman, but very like loving to the world. Like she gives everyone a chance. And she does that. That's one of the biggest qualities in the comics, and that's the quality that she had. That's literally how she saved the day. It was like, no,
you know what I'm saying? Like, no, you don't. You can show love without cheese,
of course you
dude.
Do.
Like
with a plot like that. No, of course you can. But clearly that's the route you were going to from the beginning. So the whole issue with the movie basically is a tonal
and the
issue
story
with
was
the movie
garbage.
with you guys.
It's just not
From the
tonal. It's
get-go.
just the story was garbage.
Yeah.
It's everything. Yeah, it's not just the tone. The tone I thought was fine. I've seen this tone before. Like I guess this movie gave me Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like Amazing Spider-Man 2 is very corny.
It actually
very
reminds me more of
comic-booky.
the third. It
Tobey
reminds me of
Maguire
the three a
Spider-Mans
lot.
were very like. No, I would say all three. If
Yeah,
you
they're very-
rewatch the
they're very
first
corny.
three, they're all very cheesy. Like
Right. So
Yeah.
there's nothing, and I think those movies for the most part are good. Like I think
Mm-hmm.
3 is better than Wonder Woman. Like
Nah,
no,
I would.
So-
absolutely not.
so.
Absolutely,
I
not.
would say Spider-Man
You've gone
2
too far
is
now.
better than Wonder Woman 2. No, I'm saying about Amazing
Spider-Man 2 is better
Spider-Man 2.
than all the
Sorry.
movies.
Sorry,
But-
I gotta clarify that. Yeah,
Absolutely not.
But-
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
absolutely not.
so I'm just saying, like, there's been a bunch of movies that have been campy and comic booky, but they nail what they're going for. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
Shazam is very comic booky and very like
Very happy.
campy feeling and very
Yeah.
like very fun movie, and
Yes.
they nailed it. Like they nailed like the atmosphere, the tone.
It was very fun. Yeah.
Right. I just don't think this movie
No.
nailed it. Like, you know, like I just thought it was just
How?
very. I just thought it was just very like, just corny. Like the Max Lord character with his wishes.
Yes.
I just,
How'd you,
I just, and I don't know how you make it better. Like honestly, because with the way that they were doing it, it was like he was, because Pedro Pascal is a great actor, so clearly they wanted him to overact. So
Yes.
like, I don't know how you
I
make
yeah.
this a good movie. I really don't.
I felt like what happened was they were watching the Linda Carter show and they went, "Let's make one of these with a big budget." That's exactly what happened. And the thing that took me a while to wrap my brain around was Maxwell Lord is like one of my favorite like dark villains that they introduce in like the early 2000s of comics, because Maxwell Lord originally was like the billionaire or millionaire, I guess, in that time that financed the Justice League, and that's it. He was just kind of like nothing. And then they did this weird, grimdark twist where they showed that he was using them for his own ends, and he actually like mind control, so he can like control people's minds and have them do things like kill themselves or whatever. But the side effect of it is that he'll get like really bad headaches, or his nose will start bleeding. Or if like it's really intense, like where he starts controlling like Superman, his eyes will start like gushing blood. So they did that version of it, sort of, but they turned him into a genie, which totally threw me the fuck off. But again, I just thought of the campiness of it. I'm like, okay, I guess. You shouldn't have just called him Maxwell Lord. You should have just created a whole fucking new character at this point. But whatever, I'll take it. But yeah, clearly he was trying to be campy from the beginning. How'd you guys think of Steve Trevor, who's back with Chris Pine? I thought he was one of the best characters there.
My thing with Chris, oh yeah, he was great, dude. I mean, seeing Chris Pine, he's always good. He's a good actor. He has comedic timing. He made the movie better, honestly. You know, as soon as he popped up, he made the movie better. My biggest
yes.
thing is
Yes,
if
definitely.
the Wishing Stone could magically pop things up out of nowhere, why Chris Trevor needed a
Why
body?
couldn't it pop him?
That's my biggest thing. It's like why did he need to be possessed?
That is in
Possess another body when the Wishing Stone created things out of nothing. I just that I didn't understand, and it took me out.
Right, it created
It was
nukes
stupid.
and stuff. Yeah. So why?
The
yeah,
only
you're right.
thing I can possibly think of is that the Wishing Stone didn't really materialize things out of thin air. Like
It did.
the people, it didn't materialize things completely. Like for example, what was it? The guy that he made him do like tax evasion or something. Those weren't people that just materialized. Those are actual people that probably work doing that. And
But
then the
the
Wishing
nukes-
Stone made
Well,
them
I just
go,
said it,
"Oh,
the
I got a
nukes.
call," and then
The
they
nukes
ran
came
to
out
the
of
car
nowhere.
and they flew over there.
the nukes came out of
nuke-
nowhere.
And the wall,
The nukes
the
did come
wall
out of nowhere.
materialized out of nowhere
That's
too.
a
The
problem.
nukes came out of nowhere, and they literally
Well,
literally
wall,
changed Cheetah's DNA. Like they literally made her something
Yeah.
entirely different. Wow, granted she existed, they morphed her body entirely different.
The only one that I'll give you is the nukes. The only one I'll give you is the Cheetah one. You can morph her. That's fine.
But if but think about it. If the stone has a power to morph DNA, meaning I guess like it can control like the DNA of someone's body and change like the molecular structure of someone's body. Clearly, you can make this person's body come back. Like you can do whatever.
So hear me out.
You mates.
How about this? It purposely tweaks your wish to be one of those careful what you wish for. She already had
the consequence.
Like remember the guy was like, "Oh, I want to separate this land," and it creates
the power. So it's kind of like, you twisted it, but you're still losing something. Right. Like it doesn't make sense. But the other,
you're right. You're still losing it, but it's also like not exactly what you wished for. Like when she went, "Hey, I want to be an apex predator," she probably just meant like, "I want to be a badass," and then she literally turns into a cheetah.
I think that's what she wanted though, because when you look at her, she was not upset about her body. She was kind of like, look at me, I'm a cheetah now.
No, but they were also implying that with her first wish, she was already losing her like mental stability. That was like,
but it was in the twist on the wish though, because she wanted to be like Diana, and she became Diana.
Yeah, she was. Yeah. But then
she
started losing her humanity. Blah blah blah. Because they were going metaphorical. It was just a metaphor. I'm losing my humanity, so I'm literally an animal. It was all just one big metaphor for that. But I will give you the nukes. They did just materialize. But the wall, I'll say, it just used the material from like the sand. Get the fuck out of here, dude.
That wall materialized out of nowhere. Okay, man. It doesn't matter if it came from stone and it went up. Like it materialized out of nowhere. That wall never existed. It materialized.
But it used materials. Right, cool. It used materials that were in real world to create it.
It could use real world materials to create a body.
I mean, clearly, clearly, like his body still exists.
He could have woken up in his grave. If anything,
like he's a skeleton. He could have woken up in his grave, and then like the I don't know, skin got from other people's graves, and then he made him back. I don't know. It's a fucking it's a fucking cartoon movie at this point. Like
exactly.
It's
like
I said, magic.
It's fucking it's Christopher Reeves circling the globe. It doesn't make sense. It's just fuck it. It's one of those. Learn this lesson like Sesame Street. How do you guys feel about? That's kind of what it's doing.
I've been seeing people didn't like the fact that it was she was raping someone else's body. How do you guys feel about that?
Wait, what?
It did cross my mind. I was like, oh, this dude's gonna come back and be like,
you gotta think about it, Orlando.
Did I
Chris
just
Trevor
fuck something?
Possessed somebody else's body, so she isn't actually fucking Chris Trevor's body. She's doing it with someone else's body. So a lot of people were saying, and a lot of articles were popping out saying,
she totally did.
This old trope.
She's a rapist.
Used to happen back in the day. Is coming back now. And people are talking about like in the sense that like she essentially raped this guy because he had no control over his body and this and that.
Yeah, but it's just a movie, man. It's just a movie.
It's a conversation piece.
But
I mean, they're not wrong though.
They're also saying that like if it was a guy,
they're not wrong.
People
like if you really want to,
it would have never happened, or people would have been super upset about it. So the double standard.
100%.
It's not wrong, but at the end of the day, like it's a movie, man. It's a movie. It's a movie in fantasy. I can understand if it's a more grounded movie, like he's knocked out, but she still wants the bone, and then she like sleeps with him, or something. You know what I'm saying? Or he has amnesia, and you sleep with him. That happens in movies sometimes. Okay, that's a little bit wrong, But this is a movie where literally someone is in somebody else's body. So, like, leave your brain at the door.
For sure.
Right. But that argument could be said for all of your components. Leave your brain at the door, guys.
Yeah. I mean, I think for the most part, like I said, like, they're right. It is technically, like, rape. Like, if I wake up later...
Yes.
It's the same thing. If I wake up later, I'm like, why do I feel weird, or what's wrong with my body? Yeah, technically, you raped this person's body.
Yeah.
But it's also fantasy.
at the end when the guy comes out and it's just him being him normal and they start having that talk, I just start thinking like, yeah, we fucked. You don't know, but we fucked.
Yeah, it just, I don't want to get too much into that like controversy. It's just kind of weird because then it's like, if you like, sex happens in so many forms nowadays anyway. So if the correct form is only the consensual, like, because people drink and have parties and you know what I'm saying, like sometimes it's not, that communication's not there, and so like you just have like sadly gray areas, you know, which is sucks. But like, what are we doing criticizing a fantasy movie at this point? Like, I just think like you
people criticize
the wrong
everything.
One. You picked the wrong battle.
Yeah, people criticize everything, so it's expected. And yeah, what I say is, who the fuck cares? But you're right.
One
That's
of the
what
things
I
I hated about this movie is the fact of superheroes losing their powers. I feel it's one of those overplayed tropes that I'm just tired of fucking seeing. Honestly,
it is. But when you're up against a genie, I feel like it was more of a. You're right. It happens all the time. You have to level the playing ground. Whenever, you know, Lex Luthor always uses the kryptonite to have weak Superman, sense. You know, that type of shit. I get it, which is one of the reasons why everybody loves Batman, because it's like, he ain't getting weak. He's just normal from the get-go. So I get it, but this felt like such a vintage movie that like that trope is like, that. Oh, okay.
Nah, I hate
I'll take it. At this point, I'll take it.
I'm tired of seeing that trope. I'm tired of people depowering supers just to match him with a villain that isn't. I'm just like, no, dude. Just give him. It's like
the
Superman.
Last time
every
that
Superman
happened,
movie, he's had villains that haven't been as powerful as him. I'm just kind of like, why don't you give that's it? But literally, apart from that, everything else has always been like Luthor or some other super shit. Like, why aren't you giving him? He has a lot of rogues that are as powerful as him. Why aren't you just giving him that? You know what I'm saying? And so I'm tired of seeing supers get the power just to give him a villain to be able to match up with a villain. I'm like, no, dude, just give him a powerful villain. Give him someone who could actually go toe to toe with them. You know what I'm saying? So that's another trope, and I saw that, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so annoying. I got super annoyed from it.
There was one thing, I'm sure you guys are going to disagree, like you're disagreeing with everything with me, but there was one thing that I really enjoyed about this movie, that they finally explained how they can make sense out of Wonder Woman having an invisible plane, because a lot of the latest iterations always get rid of it, because they're like, oh, that was dumb, which it was totally dumb. But of course, this referenced it by showing that she's using godlike powers to make things disappear, kind of like how Zeus made the island disappear.
Yeah.
So it just makes sense she would have that power. It did come out of nowhere. There was no setup to it. It would have been nice seeing her make the cup disappear in the beginning, so then when you reference it, you go, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. Instead of her just like magically, oh, by the way, I have this power that you never knew about. That was a little like, okay, got it.
I didn't mind it,
you know. But the fact that they did that reference, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I like it. That's the best way you can do it.
I think it made sense in the scheme of the movie. My biggest thing is that, why don't you just make her fly like that? that continues to be my thing about Wonder Woman. Like, she is as strong as Superman and has the ability to fly. Just make her freaking fly. And then when she started flying, it was so cheesy.
So there's your answer. Because in Batman, all right. So there it is. They didn't make her fly because she doesn't fly in Batman versus Superman, like you said. Instead, she just fell with style.
At this point, this movie doesn't care about what comes after it, because it literally doesn't. It doesn't care about the themes or her as a character, as how she goes. It literally doesn't care about anything. Mm-hmm. So just make her fly. Just make her have the ability to fly, and I didn't understand that at all. So I was kind of annoyed of that.
What was I gonna say? I don't remember right now. Oh, because we immediately jumped from it.
Yeah.
I was gonna go back to so Chris Pine. I was gonna say I actually liked that he was in it. I actually like that he was doing all the dumb 80s references.
Yeah.
I like that whole man
I
at a
love that
time
shit.
thing. And of
It's
course,
cool.
we've seen it with Captain America. We've seen it with Captain America, but I felt like they didn't really get into it as much as they could have with Captain America. It was always like quick one-liners, you know? And in this one, they really dove into it. And it just they made fun of the 80s the same way that we make fun of the 80s now. Like, there were certain things where we look back and like, that's so stupid. And he's also saying, oh, that's stupid. So it was just kind of, it was a little funny that it was like, oh, he thinks the way we think about it now. Like, oh, like that trend is terrible type of thing. I don't know. It just kind of reminded me more that it was like a very upbeat
I
type
enjoyed it.
movie that you get into that.
I just feel like they
What?
didn't. I feel I did like that, but I feel like
Yeah.
they didn't show enough of the 80s. Like how Armando said, like it had very 80s vibe, but if you put that movie on mute and then you're like, hey, when does that movie take place? You'd be like, it'd be kind of hard for you
after
to
the
guess.
beginning. Because
I can say 80s.
Once they get into the fighter jet, you don't see the 80s anymore. Honestly, you don't. It kind of disappears into the background.
You can tell from the fashion, the cars. I can still tell it's 80. I can't tell you it's 84, but I'll tell you it's 80s. Yeah. I can tell you that. And like I said, it was just generic music with
But
the
it
beats.
wasn't.
You know,
It
they had some
wasn't
of that
clear.
synthy.
Like it wasn't like in your face 80s, and maybe that was on purpose because the movie's already so in your face with everything else.
I mean, it's literally called 84. So
But
yeah,
if you're
that's
calling
pretty
it
in your face
84,
about
it should
that it's
feel
in
like
the
it-
title.
Right, but I meant like
Just like Stranger Things feels like it's in the 80s.
I mean,
right.
it did to me, but
yeah, like sometimes set pieces speak more into the story, like they have its own story, and I feel like these set pieces didn't add to, because at the end of the day, you could have made this movie in the 90s, you could have made this movie in the 2000s, you could have made this movie in the
no.
70s,
Yeah,
and
I agree.
it would have been the same.
No. The biggest part of this movie was a distrust because of the Cold War. That was the whole big
Where the
thing. The
fuck are you
biggest
getting
set
that
piece
from?
was that America and Russia were going to go to war.
Are you just talking about
Dude,
the
but
nukes
that's
at
what it
the
is.
end?
It's during the Cold War.
Get outta
The whole
here,
thing with the
Pedro.
missiles.
You're full of shit, man.
Yes. But that's literally why the world is ending. The world is ending
Dude,
because of the nukes, not because
nukes-
of everything else. So it
Nukes
just shows the
happens
escalation of the
at
distrust
any
of the
point
time.
since they were introduced in the 50s when Hiroshima got blew up. Okay, man? You could have made the nuke shit at any point, any time. It had
Right.
nothing to do with the 80s. It has nothing to do with
But
it. Dude, in the 90s,
So you're
all
saying-
all the bad guys were all
So-
about nukes.
wait.
You know what I'm saying?
So-
it's irrelevant.
So what you're saying is X-Men First Class is bullshit. Because you could have used that at any time too, and it still would have been the same nukes thing. Because remember, that's the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Well,
First Class.
I think for your like politically and historically, I do think there was a moment in the 80s that there was a scare of nuke attack.
Yeah, of course.
So there was a scare of nuclear war, and I think the last time we had a scare of nuclear war is like in recent thing with China, where they're like, oh shit, they can launch nukes whenever. So
And North Korea.
right, yeah, North Korea. So that's what North Korea. Sorry, I don't think we have had another time where people are like, oh shit, we can get like nuked again. Cause I remember in the 90s not feeling that way. So
No, in the
I
90s
agree
we
with
didn't.
Pedro, like in a political historically like sense, like while you can bring up the story of nukes whenever, because they've always been a part of our history, and they've always been a part of terror, like war. You could bring it up whenever you want in terms of like that, like casualties of war, but it was very prevalent in the 80s, so I could kind of see it. But I just think
There
in
you go.
general, this movie you could put it in any time, like it doesn't do
To
enough
justify it.
to have that title, 1984. It really doesn't, in my opinion.
yeah, they could have just called it Wonder Woman 2.
I disagree,
Interesting.
Pedro.
You know another thing I hated?
But wait. So you're saying Wonder Woman 2, but still have it take
if
place
you
in the
put it
80s or take place
1984
present?
and your marketing is all 80s feeling and all this other 80s stuff, but you didn't do enough in the movie to make it feel like it's the 80s.
How are you gonna have an '80s movie without a Walkman?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
There was a Walkman
Where?
there.
Yeah,
I mean,
but no
they didn't literally say Walkman like the brand,
Pedro,
but
you're
you
full of
saw the
shit,
type
dude.
of radio,
You're full of shit,
like
man.
with the headphones and shit.
Yeah. You
saw the fanny
trying
pack.
to justify why you like it. Dude. Get out of here. Look.
I thought it had
if
plenty of 80s
I watch an '80s movie and I don't feel like I'm watching Back to the Future
Yeah.
for like 10 seconds, it's not an '80s movie.
That's true. And another thing I hated about this movie is Wonder Woman's run. How she's always floating. Oh my god, that annoyed the shit out of me, dude.
I do
Every
agree
single
with
time
that.
she ran, it was so annoying.
I do agree with that because it was very CW. Now here's the thing: she did that in the first one, and I fucking hated it. Remember the first one when she fucking goes Super Saiyan against Ares,
Oh, yeah.
and she's just like walking and then doing her little like arm thing. Oh god,
You know what I understand?
I really hated
is that,
that too.
why don't they make her run really fast on a treadmill, and then just superimpose her running on somewhere? Like,
I don't think-
like her floating. It's just she's not even running. She's just
I-
moving. She's just
Yeah.
doing the running movement, and she's not even doing. I'm like, oh my god.
I agree. What
They're trying
they
to make it
did was
practical,
what
but
they
it
do
wasn't
for the
practical at all.
Flash on CW. They
Yeah.
CW'd her run 100%.
So-
That's what the Flash does. He just goes, "My name is Barry Allen."
But what they did is that
And
they
it's like,
made
nah,
it.
dude, you
They
look
made
terrible.
it practical, literally. So on the street, when they were filming that scene when she was running in the street in DC or whatever it was, they put her. They put her
and
in
they were
a,
just yanking her.
in a rig where she actually ran, like she just did that movement on the street. So they tried to
Yeah.
make it practical, but she's literally floating
No.
on that rig.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, it's possible to make it work because they did it with Black Panther and they did it with
Yes.
Captain America in Civil War. Remember that? That was that chase, and it looked fantastic. So you're 100% right. They made it look bad when they could clearly make it look good. Maybe because Gal Gadot's not a great actress. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it's like run fast and she's just, I don't know, doing something like whatever. Fuck it. It's 80s. Who gives a shit? Cheesy.
Yeah,
Fuck
but
it.
like you said, there's ways to make it work.
But yes, 100%, it didn't look good. Yeah. There's definitely ways to make it work. But again, I just felt like they were still going for that Linda Carter cheesiness, and they just didn't care. They were just like, oh, cool, it's silly. Fine, move on. Same thing with the lassoing on the fucking lightning bolts and shit. They're like, yeah, whatever, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it
but who
was
cares?
So dumb, dude. I feel like this movie wasted a lot.
Who cares? Be careful what you wish for, guys. Learn your lesson.
So one of the things that I said I was like Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2 was Cheetah. I felt like her character was very like corny, the same way of like the
Green Goblin.
person down under luck and they admire the the superhero and they want to be just like them, and then they're the outcast, no one understands them, and then they get powers, and then they have to fight
and then they can't control it, right?
yeah,
That has been done to death. Yeah.
been done to death. And I feel like I did like Kristen Wiig as Cheetah though. Like for what it is, I liked her. Like I thought she did a good job as Cheetah. I don't know anything about Cheetah, but I thought she did a good job playing that character. I just think at the end of the day, like what is like something I said before. I've seen this already. So if you're gonna do this, you gotta do it really well. And I just didn't think it was like that different from what I've already seen. So I have no problem with like how she acted or her origin story. It's just I've seen this already, so you gotta wow me.
What I
And she
wanted to
just
see
didn't wow me.
more, and I wish they would have maybe done it from the beginning, or had already been established, is her friendship with Diana. Like I felt like, because the thing is,
Definitely.
the biggest thing about the relationship between Cheetah and Wonder Woman is that they were really good friends, and then she turned, and it was kind of like a betrayal or like this friendship thing, So I would have loved for either the relationship to be developed more, because in the end they weren't really friends. If you really really think about it, they were not friends in this movie.
No, they really weren't. They weren't.
Yeah.
If anything, Diana was like using her. It's like, oh yeah, you're okay,
Yeah.
whatever. Hey, wait, you're
Exactly.
studying this? Give me more info on it. 100%. I would have preferred the movie
That's what I'm saying.
starts
Like
and
either
they're already
started
friends.
already with them being friends for a long time, or or spend
Yeah.
more time building that friendship. So where that fall actually feels.
I agree with that. I agree with that. They should have started friends already to show that they've been, together for a while, rather than, oh, hey, how are you doing? Oh my God, I want to be just like you. You're awesome. Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's more depth to the relationship to the
Yeah.
characters. Because Cheetah characters, she has no depth,
Definitely.
dude. She's just a geek who wanted to be just like Diana, and then she had superpowers.
And then she got addicted to the power. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
she was able to squish all the people that, it was like the bullied person getting powers to bully the bullies, and then you get carried away. It has been done to death.
Right. And I think not to go back on this franchise of movies, but it's the same thing. Like in Spider-Man, the original trilogy, you had Harry in all three movies. So when he finally turns, which you expect him to turn anyway, because his origin story, it matters more. You've been waiting for him to turn, and then when he finally realizes that Peter killed his dad, you're like, oh shit, this is about to get real. Granted,
Definitely
the payoff
not.
isn't that great.
But the build-up was good.
Who you ask. But
it wasn't, but the buildup was good. Yes, exactly.
the build-up was really good. And I think even the Amazing series did a decent job of having a slight build-up to it. Decent.
Slight.
Slight.
In the Spider-Man, an Amazing
Um,
Spider-Man, it felt like they were more like acquaintances than friends, because they were just kind of very.
They were friends, but he went away. Harry was was away for college. So he comes back, and then that's
the weird part. It's kind of
They
like
were friends.
your old friend is coming back. Wouldn't you be happy and like, oh hey, when they saw? Because I've seen it recently again because I showed my kid.
I was like, you guys really
when
remember
they
a
see
lot.
each other,
I was
Harry's
gonna
just kind of
say.
like, oh hey Peter, what are you doing here? Type of thing. It was kind of like, oh, I just came in by to see you. He's like, oh okay, and then they just kind of like talked, and then they said some like inside joke, and then that's pretty much it. And then they go out, and then they start talking about more story stuff instead of their relationship. It's kind of like, were you guys really truly best friends? You know what I'm saying? So
Let me
Peter had a lot going on. You couldn't tell him all his business.
let me just put it out there that you guys really do like this movie because you're talking about a whole other movie right now.
But honestly, the Diana and Cheetah story, they needed to have that friendship. And that's why I said that they didn't do Cheetah justice. She
Yes.
is literally the biggest antagonist that Wonder Woman has. And they didn't do her justice. They didn't build her up. They didn't give her anything to become that. It was a waste. They wasted Cheetah. They wasted her.
Yeah, she's the go-to.
I was happy to see Cheetah in the, like when I first heard that they were gonna put him, like, oh, that's awesome. They're gonna give her her biggest antagonist. Like, how amazing is that? And you just essentially wasted it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Maxwell Lord is one of her big antagonists later too, but obviously they gave him an entire revamp, turned him into a genie, which is a little weird, but again, for the metaphor of the
How do you
movie
guys
and the
feel about the
cheesiness,
action
I accepted
sequences?
it. But
They were okay. I don't think anything was memorable, really.
they were pretty good. I actually like the
I didn't like it at all.
car chase. Car chase, I guess, where she's fighting through cars. I actually liked it. I mean, it's not her best one, without a doubt, is where she's fucking them up in World War One, where she
man.
breaks through the building.
So
like she does that
good.
fucking Spartan. She
Jesus.
does that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does that Spartan
And when
knee
she
through the wall.
she goes into
and
the bell tower with her.
That
with her
is by
shield,
far
and it
her
goes boom.
best.
And I was like, oh my god, it was amazing.
Yeah. And then you hear. Yeah.
So the thing is that
was
this
great.
movie didn't have any of that.
So
They didn't have any of those hard hitting, great action
Yeah.
sequences.
well, that version of that. Yeah, the version of that sequence was just supposed to be that car chase, which they kind of did a action scene, but no, it didn't hold a feather to
Honestly,
the fucking
I didn't enjoy
first
any of the
one.
action
The first one was
sequences
the
in
best.
this movie.
But I actually like this one. The reason why I like this one too, I know you hate this part already because you mentioned it, the whole depowering thing. But it's like no one stands a chance against her. Like, zero chance. So you need to give them a fighting chance. So make her a little bit weaker so she's struggling with the jeeps. When she gets hit, instead of it totally deflecting, it actually hurts her. So there is a sense of like, oh, she's actually getting her ass whooped right now. So that's what it was. They depowered her to make them feel like, you know.
You're making your hero worse just to give him a reason, just to give other people a reason to fight them. That's stupid, dude. It's idiotic. And that's the point. I mean, that happens all the time. That's why it's so bad. It's a horrible trope that you're making the.
They did it in the first Thor.
Yeah, but
the first Thor was about him being depowered.
Specifically is a story beat of the character. It's a essence of that character. The fact that he gets depowered, learns to become human, is a key part of Thor. He wouldn't be Thor if he didn't have that sequence of his story. You get what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, the same could be said with Diana. She loses her power to know you can't have everything.
No, dude.
That's also
you're
a beat.
exaggerating now.
That's
dude.
a beat
you're
right
just
there.
Full of shit. So, in this
Diana, you can't have everything.
As far as I know, that Patty Jenkins got rid of the majority of the stunt team and the action choreographer and all that from their first movie. So it's the reason why this movie, it feels different when it comes to action sequences, and honestly worse for the fact being that she got rid of her entire action people.
Yeah. I wouldn't say worse. I would say campier, which I know you guys think that's worse, but I still think it's going with the.
I feel like you keep using that phrase to save this movie. Like, I mean, campiness can be a good thing. Sure. Like, it can, but like, this is not good campiness.
The thing is, the movie is 100% consistent with campiness. So it's not good tone.
Campiness though, Pedro.
What?
Shazam is good campiness. Okay, the Spider-Man trilogies, most of them are good campiness. This is not good campiness.
I think good campiness. I'm sorry. I already told you. I give it a 4 for a reason.
Trying to be campy just for campy's sake, not for anything else.
No, it's being campy for the sake of the Linda Carter thing. They even brought her in at the end to show you that, oh, this is what we're referencing right here.
I feel like this is the perfect time to interject that like Samuel Jackson meme where he's like, "Say campiness one more time, motherfucker!" Like, you can't save this,
Pedro.
With that word.
I'm not trying to save it. I'm just trying to tell you why I like it.
Things could be campy and they can be good. We've seen movies that are campy and they are awesome. You know, even Cabin in the Woods, campy, but it was great and it felt right and it meshed well with the story. This didn't feel right. Didn't mesh well with the story. Yeah. This was just campy for campy's sake. For like, oh hey, remember that Linda Carter movie that show you used to love? Oh, this is just like it. That's the reason why it's happening here.
Yeah.
It's not adding anything to the movie. It's not giving anything to the themes. It's not doing anything but just being like, hey, you remember that thing you like? This is it. We were just doing it just like it. And it's kind of like, no, dude, like you have to bring it into the new. Just like Spider-Man Homecoming referenced a lot of John Hughes and it felt like John Hughes, but it brought it into the new. It wasn't being like, hey, remember John Hughes? Remember that thing you like? Oh, this is just like it. It was not doing that. And I think that's the problem with Wonder Woman, that it's just trying to say to you, hey, this is just like that thing you like, and we're gonna keep giving it to you. We're gonna keep doing it, even though it has nothing to do with anything of this movie. That's how I feel about it. Like, it's just hammering it over, shoving it down your throat, and being like, just take it because you liked it back then. You know, like, no, dude, it's just kind of like that. It doesn't work like that. You know, you have to add it to the themes of the story in the movie, and it just didn't do it.
I'm gonna tell you what Wonder Woman 1984 feels like. It feels like Batman the Brave and the Bold.
No, it doesn't.
No, it does not. No, don't you dare. No,
yes.
Because you know what?
Orlando, you didn't even watch the show. You had it in the background. Get out of here.
I did watch Brave and the Bold, and look. I don't like Aquaman, right? I don't like that movie, but
outrageous.
That movie was hella campy, and that movie felt
Oh,
like
I thought you were talking about the Aquaman from Brave and the Bold. Never mind.
no. But that movie did feel very super camp.
Aquaman had tonal issues.
I don't
in my
agree with
opinion,
that,
but okay.
for sure not. Brave and the Bold is a completely different animal. Brave and the Bold is super campy, and everybody in there is campy, and everything that's happened is campy. But this movie doesn't do that, dude. Like if you're gonna be campy, your whole thing should be campy. Already. Everything you do needs to be campy. Like from beginning to end should have been campy. And this movie wasn't. It was just kind of like, hey, let's be campy over here. Let's be campy over here. Remember that thing you liked? I'm gonna be campy over here because you reference this thing you liked. Like, no, dude. It's just
say campy one more goddamn time.
Yeah, I'm kind of let's use another synonym for campy. Like I'm kind of tired of this word.
Cheesy.
I feel like we don't have a
cheesy.
good,
Cheesy. How about that?
It just didn't work.
Sure. Yeah, I agreed. How did you guys feel about the cheetah fight scene?
I thought it was lackluster
at the end. What the?
I will say it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be, because I remember when they showed that first teaser and Cheetah looked awful, man. Like I was like, ooh, you really need to fucking work on it. And I know that's one of the many reasons why it got pushed back, because when they showed it, when they showed it to the original audience, they were like, it looks awful. You need to go back and fix it. They did fix it, but I felt like the fight should have been longer. I felt like the fight was too easy. It was just her using her overpowered suit from what's it called, Kingdom Come, and then she just drops her in and like electrocutes her. So I was like, right when I felt like it should have been good, this fight suffered the same thing that I felt the Black Panther fight suffered, where there's a lot of like mid-air fighting, dark. And it was a very big CG fest, and there was no choreography. There's dark. There was nothing to it, and I'm like, nah, everyone looks extra fake when they fight midair. And there were too many like where they were both swinging at each other. I was like, oh, this is bad. This is like legit bad, though. It's not cheesy bad. It's bad. The swinging, the choreo of the fight was definitely 100% bad. It started off good, but once it got to the swinging and then to the end, I was like, oh, you fucked up the second half completely. So, yeah. But then again, I didn't like the fight of the first one either, so I guess fuck it. What was I to expect? I did like the what's the word I'm trying to look for? I don't know. I did like the payoff of the genie quote unquote fight. I did like that one.
I thought that was stupid.
Because that was more, I'm not gonna say brain over brawn, but it was more heart over brawn. That was where you get the whole fucking story, lesson learned bullshit. But it worked for what it was. Cheetah, 100% agreed. No. Not happening.
Yeah, the cheetah fight was very lackluster, like Armando said.
It was lackluster.
Especially like having this suit that in the trailers looked phenomenal, and you think like, wow, this is gonna like really be impactful. It looks like she doesn't need it. Like she didn't need it. Like honestly,
she needed to block.
Yeah, she didn't really need it.
It looked like she didn't really need it.
She just used it to block.
Didn't give her.
What I would have liked,
do enough.
I would have liked for them to make Cheetah even more powerful, like faster. Like that was one of the things in the comics. It was always like she's like on Flash's level of speed. It's like that intense. So that would have made sense why she would need a block, because she wouldn't know where the fucking attacks would come from, because she's that blindingly fast. That would make sense in the fight. Like you're clearly at a disadvantage, so you need your shield to block and then find your opening. That would have been better and more exciting for a fight, I think. But the fact that they didn't go that route, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I did find the fight a bit lackluster. I like the suit. I just think it didn't really serve a purpose, because it seemed like she didn't need it. Just how quickly that fight ended, it seems like she's had tougher villains before. So it's like, why do you need this suit? But whatever.
I know they did a lot of re-edits of the movie, so maybe there was something cut there along the way. Maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, but either way, what we got was lackluster.
And I did feel that the Max Lord part ending of it all, her telling the message to everybody through the lasso, I just thought that's it. That's where I checked out. I mean, I checked out the movie a long time ago, but that's when it really like reeled it into like, oh god, you guys are just so corny.
Do you know what that was? So hear me out, since you're a DBZ fan. Hear me out. That was the spirit bomb where she gets the energy from everyone to create the spirit bomb of the world to conquer the villain. That's what that scene was to me.
Man, I love how Pedro justifies everything.
I think he but you know what's funny?
I didn't justify the cheetah fight. I didn't justify that.
You justify everything while referencing something else. Like, you make it good on the piggyback of something else.
That's true,
Man,
And it's
but
not
you-
good
but
on
you
its
guys-
That's
own.
super right.
Without your references,
Whoa,
it's not a good movie.
You guys shit on this movie while referencing a fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah, we're referencing
You guys are
how
referencing
shitty it was.
shit too.
We references to show, because you know what, we gotta fight your fight fire with fire. You want to bring good camping movies? We're gonna bring up some good ass campy comic book movies then.
You're like, oh, Christopher Reeve Superman? Okay, fine. Amazing
Look,
Spider-Man 2,
I,
bitch.
I think that, Patty Jenkins clearly said that she didn't want to end the movie with a huge fight. She said that about her first movie, and the studio forced her to do the Act 3 fight with Ares. And she didn't want to end it like that. She wanted to end it in a conversation. And she got her
Which I
wish
liked.
on this movie to end it in a conversation. Which is
Wish.
which is cool. It's perfectly fine, but the way she ended it was stupid. I think it would have been cool if she would have tricked him into doing something or saying something that made him lose his power. The whole thing of like, oh, take back your wishes, and with the lasso, I'm just kind of like, oh, come on, dude, this is just so dumb, dude. Just
Yeah.
like I don't know, man.
It's all a lesson. So what I will say I did not like about the ending was that there was no consequence
Dude,
for him.
that was the next
like,
point I
everything's
had.
over, and it's like, yeah, there was no consequence. That I kind of like looked at. I'm like, okay, so I get it. You're hugging your kid. Oh my God, son, you're the best. I was the best already. I didn't need to do all this shit. Cool, but go to fuck to jail, bitch. The fuck?
Go to Arkham,
like,
bro.
What
The
is
revolving
this?
door.
So, yeah, like, I'm like, I get it. Cool, you learned your lesson. Now go talk to your kid from the fucking glass. All right,
It's one of those
Like,
things
come on.
where everyone was better off except Diana. If you actually think about it, Diana is probably the worst one off of everybody else. She didn't really gain. She really nothing.
Well, I would go so far as to say Chris
Well,
Pine
he's
is
been
worse
dead,
off because
though.
he's just
He-
straight dead. But
He was dead already, so it didn't really matter. Like he was, it was kick him out of the movie. He's irrelevant in the
yeah,
living world.
I get what you're saying though. I
So,
get what you're saying.
When it comes to Diana didn't.
Yeah. I
All
get
she
you, though.
learned is a lesson she learned. She relearned the lesson she learned when she was little, right? Maxwell Lord, he had no consequences. His life was perfect, not perfect, but I'm saying he ended the movie without literally
Yeah.
no consequences, and he was better off. Like, he learned the
None.
biggest lesson of all, is kind of like being the best dad ever, and.
I'd like to think that after the credits rolled, the fucking SWAT team just swooped in, but
No,
the movie didn't show
everybody,
that. So, yeah.
once they renounced their wish, everybody forgot what it was. They had like amnesia,
That could
and
be
then
then
Cheetah. She didn't gain or lose anything because she's still just like Diana Prince. So it's kind of like nobody really had. Yeah, her
she
wish
isn't.
was before the wishing stone of Maxwell Lord, so she still has the powers.
But they didn't show that. She didn't
You don't have
squeeze
to,
a
dude. It's
fucking
just
metal
the
rod
logic
afterwards.
of the movie. She never.
She renounced her
Cheetah
wish, though.
never
If you renounce
renounced
your
her
wish,
She never did.
she
No,
did though. That's why she turned normal. She turned normal because she renounced her wish.
his wish, and she got her Cheetah wish because of Maxwell Lord.
Yeah, she never renounced her wish.
Well, you don't see her do it, but she looks up and she kind of.
No,
I don't know.
she didn't renounce,
She
dude.
renounced
She
it.
didn't renounce.
She totally renounced the wish.
She did. You see what I'm
She
saying,
didn't renounce
Pedro?
the wish.
You're not even paying attention, dude. You're too busy drunk off the camp
She
to pay
renounced-
attention to this movie, dude. You guys was drunk. You didn't notice, dude.
Nah, man, I was drunk. I was drunk off
like-
the
like,
cheese. The cheese.
Her wish to become Diana was at the beginning of the movie. She became Cheetah because she wished upon Maxwell
Right.
Lord to become Cheetah, to become an apex predator. So when Maxwell Lord lost his power, she lost her Cheetah power. but she didn't lose the Diana power because she never renounced it. When Diana was telling everybody to renounce, she never did it.
Man, we'll find out in Wonder Woman 3. Shit, like.
But it seems though that the overall, because he is the stone, so the stone was destroyed when he renounced his wish in general.
Yeah,
I think.
But her wish was before that.
So I think while she didn't renounce her wish,
'cause
doesn't she
the
lose
stone
all her
is-
powers?
Because
No.
All right, so essentially,
She was still fighting. Remember, she was fighting Diana when he became the stone, so the power was still there.
Right, but then when he renounced, like, doesn't the stone at the end what doesn't the stone doesn't
I
exist
don't-
anymore?
That's the,
Like it's
that's
gone,
the
right?
one that I don't know.
Right. It
Because I think the stone is destroyed essentially.
it's
like
destroyed.
It's essentially.
I took it as it's destroyed, so all
Nah.
wishes are renounced, including
That's what
hers.
I
I don't
think.
think so.
Well, I don't think she renounced her wish. I think because the stone is no longer alive. It's she loses her
I don't
powers
think
in
so.
general.
I think the stone is
Alright.
still around. It's just not in Maxwell Lord. I think the stone just became something else.
So is it like Dragon Ball Z where you after you make your wish, the Dragon Ball scatters?
Probably.
So is that
I
what
think so.
happened? The stone.
Now look who's
stone-
referencing shit.
Because even that, because the thing is that even Diana was
went
scared to touch the
somewhere else.
bracelet that the stone was being held with. So I don't necessarily think the power was within the stone. I think it was the bracelet itself. I think so because it was like a trickster
Nah,
magic. So
I think
don't
that's too
it
much of
actually
a.
gets destroyed. I think it just becomes something else.
Nah, they were clearly grabbing the giant fucking rock when they wished. So nah.
I think the stone had it because they didn't do enough to tell you that the bracelet had the power.
Yeah, it's clearly the stone. The stone was huge. Everyone was holding it. Everyone was touching it.
Yeah.
There
The
was
fact that
nothing
she, like,
bracelet wise.
The fact that she got like a little bit of electric shock from the bracelet, that don't say shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think that's like the aftermath, the after effect of the
Overall,
stone
I
being
don't
on
think
Yeah.
Cheetah lost her power. I think she still has it. And that's what I think.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. So I already know Armando's answer to this, but what do you guys think about the after credits? You know, Linda Carter.
It was okay.
I didn't watch the original Wonder Woman show, so when she
Wonder
came up, I'm like,
Woman! That's how.
when
That's how
she
the theme
came
song
up, I
went.
thought that was like Lucy Lawless, I think.
What
I was like, oh, what's she doing
that
here?
old? She's that old.
I forgot what her fucking call was for Xena. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was Lucy Lawless for a second. I'm like, oh, I didn't know she was in this movie. That's it. So I didn't think anything of it, nor did I care like too much about it. It's like, all right, whatever.
So you just found out that was Linda Carter at the end with me saying that? You thought it was Lucy Lawless this whole time?
No, I knew it wasn't Lucy Lawless. I just thought like it looked a lot like her. So I'm like, what is Lucy Lawless? Like for a second, I'm like, what is Lucy Lawless doing in this
Yeah,
movie?
I didn't mind it. I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's when movies do that, I don't really mind that stuff. You know, just calling back to the history. But you've been shoving.
It's pretty much
Yeah.
like all movies do that if I think about it. Like I remember all the
Yeah.
Hulks had Lou
But
Ferrigno
at
at
this
one
point, like
you
you've
know?
been shoving Linda Carter's show down my throat for the last 2.5 hours, and when I saw her, I'm just like, oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, nice way to cap it off.
No, you're like, oh no, she's gonna be in part
Essentially,
3.
yeah, she
Oh
can
my
be
god.
because she's the Artaby, whatever her name was. Asteria, yeah.
Asteria.
So it's kind of like, yeah, man. I guess at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if they fight, if they duke it out to become the best Amazonian warrior, and with terrible CG and floating
We'll see.
and floating feet and
Floating, running.
and cat fights in the air. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, if
At
there's
this
anything
point-
consistent about these Wonder Woman movies, it's their CG fights are actually not good. So that's for sure.
Yeah, at this point, I really don't have any hope for DC. Like, They there's nothing.
Wait,
There's
Robert Pattinson.
But that's not DCU
right, but the
though.
thing is, like, I just at this point, I know I'm gonna. I expect more bad than good DC movies at this point.
I've always expected more bad than good. I went into this movie thinking it was going to be absolute garbage.
Yeah,
You
I went
guys
into it
still
thinking it was
think
going to be
it's
garbage,
absolute
and I
garbage,
got
but
like,
I didn't.
damn,
It surprised the fuck out of me.
It was garbage.
I didn't think it was gonna be bad. Honestly, I thought it was gonna be decent, but
No, that
at
was
this
gonna be
point, I'm just not excited for anything that they're gonna be doing. Yeah, the Batman movies, but like, I'm kind of glad like that you know they put their shit down on HBO. Like, at this point, like when it comes to big budget,
This definitely isn't a
movies,
theater movie. I agree with you guys. This wasn't a theater movie.
When it comes to big budget movies now, like Disney has a good job. They're doing a good job with Marvel. Like they've always had done a good job. Granted, their Star Wars is lackluster, but you know, The Mandalorian gives me hope that it's gonna be good. The other ones, Universal? I think Universal has some good franchises. They have Harry Potter. They have Jurassic.
I'm not excited about that.
Franchise. I don't think it's that bad. Godzilla one, I'm not a fan of Godzilla, but some people really like those two movies.
Oh my god, Godzilla and King Kong! I can't fucking wait for that, man.
So at this point, I feel like Warner Brothers is the weakest studio out of the biggest ones.
Oh, I was gonna say it's the fucking top 3, but weakest of the 3, sure, if you want to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, other than Disney, Warner Brothers, Sony, Universal, Sony.
Would Sony be the third or Paramount? No, not Paramount.
I would say
don't know.
Universal.
I don't know what the third would be.
I'll say
Big 2. Let's just
Universal
keep
is
it a
the
big
third.
2.
Then Paramount.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course, you're right.
Paramount.
Universal.
But you remember, Harry Potter is also DC.
Universal being the weakest.
So you're wrong there, buddy. Unless you like Fantastic Beasts. Yeah.
There's a lot of
Harry
DC.
Potter DC. Oh yeah, Harry Potter is Warner
But
Brothers.
they're
It's also
tanking
Warner
with
Brothers, yeah.
that too, because Fantastic Beasts has been garbage.
Yes, sir.
I didn't watch the
Oh,
second
man,
one, but
the
the first one I
second
thought
one's
was good.
Bad.
Second one's bad. Anyways, back to Wonder Woman 1984. I guess we're all wrapped up, huh?
Because this movie's garbage.
Anything else?
Oh, I mean, let's wrap it up with this, I should have done it in the beginning. But do you guys recommend this movie?
Okay.
Might as well. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with the fact of like getting.
Christopher Nolan's like, you're killing the art of cinema. Like, niggas, sit down. Like, we're dying.
Yeah, no
Like-
one watched your movie in theaters. No one.
So yeah, I just think I do like that it's coming to I did like I do like Warner Brothers' decision to put it on HBO Max, and I feel like while that does jeopardize movie theaters and the movie theater experience, I agree. Like, I love going to movie theaters.
Yeah,
But there will always
I
be
just
movie
think
someone
theaters.
else would buy them out.
There might just be less of them.
Yeah.
They'll always exist.
I just feel like right now is not the time to be going to the movies, and it might not be the time to go to the movies for a very long time.
Yes.
So
I mean, in Miami,
Agreed.
it's gonna happen. So
There are a couple. Yeah. There are a couple movies coming up that I'm like, damn, I wish I could watch that in the theater.
definitely not one of them.
This wasn't one of them, but Godzilla and Kong and Dune.
Well,
oof.
if we're talking about DC movies, I am looking forward to Suicide Squad. I feel
yes,
I feel like Suicide
but that's a
Squad
whole other animal.
will do justice to the camp, just like this movie didn't do. I feel that movie is gonna be, in that sense, very over the top, very action oriented.
It's gonna be straight.
Yeah.
It's gonna be straight dark comedy. So I'm excited for that. Yes, they do.
Directors, it's actors like Jared Leto being like, "Why am I not the Joker?" Like, it's just so much shit going on with like the properties and stuff like that. Like, just make your movie and forget about connecting it at this point. Like,
Which is what they're doing
'cause
now.
at the end of the day, like, you're upsetting somebody. You're upsetting the fans or the actor or the director. Like, just make the
That's-
movie you want to make and just go on with your day. Fuck
That's
it.
why.
Like,
That's why DC created the multiverse idea for that reason exactly.
because I feel like while like I think about like the Star Wars sequel trilogy and how shitty and how disconnected that whole fucking trilogy was. It doesn't even hold a torch to
That's
fucking
true.
DC.
Those movies are not connected at all.
I'll give you that.
Like, holy shit! Like, you got 2 Joker movies. You got one Joker mad that he's not in the movie. Like, he's fighting to get into other
You
movies.
got 2 Batmans.
You gotta say, like, you got directors upset how they portrayed like their fucking characters in the other movies. Like, just fuck it. Just y'all just do whatever y'all want. Like, just make
It's
your
like
movie and
I've
go.
been telling you guys from the beginning about DC movies. It's just they should just adapt the stories, not try to connect them anymore. You know, make the Batman under the Red Hood. Make a Green Lantern Blackest Night movie. You know, make stories.
But that's not. I don't think that's a good idea either, because then there's always going to be the comparison to that exact story. Don't adapt the story exactly.
Whatever.
You
Case
got to mix
point
them up.
being is just adapt these stories. Like, I don't really care necessarily about connectivity in the DC already. Like, you guys fucked it up from the beginning. It's been 10 years. Get over
I mean,
it.
I agree with Mondo. Like, they released.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. They do.
The animated movie, and you're just like, all right, I guess this is the 3rd Batman. Like, you're like, whatever.
Yeah. You're like,
And
okay,
oh, I
Batman
guess-
had 2 Robins. Got it.
Yeah, like
But the
they just
blue
throw
one is
you
an
in there,
old
and they don't
Robin.
they explain a little bit,
Yeah.
but not a lot. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So at this point, why not? Like, fuck it, just do your own shit. Like, tell the story you want to tell, and
Yeah.
forget trying to connect it all. And I think if they do that, with that in mind, like, have a press release or some shit like that, because you gotta tell people, because I think it'll set the world on fire. People will try to connect it. Just say, hey, none of this shit's connected anymore. There is no more DC universe. It's just DC movies.
I agree with that, man. It's just like what they're doing with the Batman movie. Like, that Batman movie is not connected to anybody, and the Joker movie was not connected to anybody, and that Joker movie was by far the best thing that DC has done in a very long time. So it's kind of like, just tell a story with these characters. Stop trying to connect them. Stop trying to make them together, because you literally don't care about your own canon.
Yeah.
So just fucking do whatever you want.
Yeah. You use the properties. Use the
Yeah.
property to make a good story, and that's the end of it. Yeah.
They should just do that, man. I mean, stop trying to copy Marvel. You tried copying them in the beginning, you failed. You did it in the middle, you failed, and you're still doing it and you're failing. So it's just, you're not gonna do it.
Yeah, I mean, even Marvel eventually has to do something different, because we're getting superhero fatigue. Like, they're doing a great job, I think, but eventually they gotta do something entirely different.
Multiverse. That's what they're doing. They're bringing back the old Spideys. That's their version of it.
Right,
And
that's-
then
that's
DC
it.
got a hold of it, and they were like, "Wait, we got to do it with our Batman." And then there it is. They're competing.
I don't know, man. Like, I think Marvel is. I agree with you. They're trying some shit. Well, I think that's Sony trying to, like, make their franchise just
Valid.
valid, and then they're trying to also, like, when that deal ends, they have enough, like, to make after Spider-Man 3, they can make a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, bring him back or something, and then you're there. They can make an Amazing Spider-Man 3 if they want to. They said, like, they open the door to bring back all of the storylines that they ended. So I just think they're trying to flesh out their universe and their property. Cause I'm pretty sure I don't think that was Marvel's idea.
I think it was.
To like
I think
fucking
it was Feige's idea.
Bring back fucking all of these.
Look, man, Feige said, "Oh shit, DC's doing Flashpoint. Oh, they're doing multiverse. I'm gonna get to it first," and that's exactly what he did. Dude, Feige's a genius, dude, and he loves sticking it to DC. Look, when they did Batman vs Superman, what did he do? Civil War, which he wasn't gonna do it, because if you look at that announcement he did of that phase, Captain America was supposed to be Serpent whatever, Serpent Society, some shit like that.
Yeah. It was supposed to be more Hydra.
He
shit.
literally saw them doing Batman vs Superman. He was just like, I could do that, and he did it. So it's kind of like Feige did that on purpose, and he will continue to fuck with DC until they give up. You know what I'm saying? And I honestly feel like he purposely went out there, drafted all these multiverses, because he made WandaVision, and WandaVision opens up the multiverse. It continues with Spider-Man 3, and it ends with Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. So he's already been planning this, dude. And I think the fact that DC wanted to bring back old Batman, he was just like, nah, I'm gonna bring back old Spider-Man. See, you know what I'm saying? Like he's been doing everything. He does it on purpose, dude. I don't think it was Sony, and I think Sony was just kind of just taking advantage of it. Like, oh, you want to do that now? Let's do it. Here, take this, because I'm gonna connect it with all these other stuff now. You know?
I agree.
So
I agree, because I think Sony's idea was just, hey, we're taking Tom Holland back and we're gonna make our movies, and he's like, wait, but why not think bigger? And they're like, oh, okay, I guess. I was just gonna do Venom 2 and ride that wave, but okay,
and connect them somehow.
And Morbius. And then Silver Sable and Black Cat, and then Feige's like, that shit ain't gonna work.
Let me take your characters and make them better. He's the Maxwell Lord meme, you know?
Yeah. But better.
So yeah. Anyways, let's wrap up this Wonder Woman. We spent the last 10 minutes talking about everybody else. But any last thoughts about Wonder Woman?
Mm-hmm. I recommend it if you like old cheesy superhero movies.
I don't recommend it, but if you have HBO Max, you might as well see it. New content, you know. That's the only reason why I would justify it. Like, I would never justify people to go to theaters to watch this shit. Don't waste your money. Don't risk it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with the theaters. No theaters for this, for sure.
Yeah, don't risk it. Don't risk it right now. You know. So, but yeah, if you have kids who want to watch a new superhero movie, this is definitely
it's a movie. Well, ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed this review of Wonder Woman 1984 in HBO Max premiere / theaters. If you want to risk the Rona, but don't do it because it's not worth it. It's not even worth it on HBO Max. But if you have it, might as well. Let us know your thoughts about this movie. Do you agree with Pedro? Or do you agree with the smarter people in this podcast, me and Orlando? Because Orlando and me are definitely smarter than Pedro. Till next time.
Bye-bye.
Later, guys.